喂，大家好，欢迎大家收看魔法的实况。好，我是实况主魔法。我们今天这个游戏是史丹利的寓言，没错。那其实之前的话，魔法是已经有实况过，不过后来发现画质上有一些蛮严重的问题，然后就特地决定重玩一遍这个游戏。好，那因为其实上次也不是拍得很好，是因为是在实况上呈现的游戏，对，所以说我们就特地再回来玩一遍这个值得一玩再玩的游戏。那好，我们现在就开始吧。好，一开始就载入还蛮久了。好，Hello， 快，有了 ，OK。那这款游戏的话，是一款不是热门的游戏啊。简单来说，它比较像电子小说一样，因为主角什么事基本上都不太能做的。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
好，那我们现在就开始看这个男人的
Stanley
故
worked
事
for
吧
a。company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-ripping, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
史丹利是幸福的。
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
好，我们走出了这个办公室。我们这游戏很显然是不能跳。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
OK， 那我们现在就是，好，一直走。我看到有人在那边玩世界了，真是混了。那我们现在的话就跟着他走呗。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. 这款游戏的话是以旁白为主要角色。 Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
生闷气给，因为不知讨厌他们，再生闷气。在哪里算解决不好？如何用幻灯片来安抚员工？哇！好，那我们现在就前进。我们要直接进入老板的办公室，这个是杂物室。
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
真的什么都没有，真的没有，什么都没有。
There was nothing here, no choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
来，让我待一下，我看一下。那我们这个有两个胶带。
Baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything.
还有个扳手，这个跟评委很像。这边有个化工料的那个。
He's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
好，别念了，我错了。现在继续前进。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
哇，这个剧透的没完没了，太快了。好，那我们现在就要去看那个所谓的老板的可怕秘密咯。这个旁白简直就是各种剧透，各种说要往哪边走啊，要往这边，要往那边啊。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
哎，我发现有两个只是左右颠倒而已，有看到吗？那边两个。这边各种颠倒而已啊，太瞎了。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
No,
he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it.
自己的生活让别人来控制，想都别想。
Never. It was unthinkable.
对吧？
Wasn't it?
简直难以想象，对吧？
Was it even
这真的有可能吗？
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
彻底的消除这些恐怖。哦。好，那我们现在就解救了这个这个所谓的精神控制设施。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
结束了。
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
我们到最后都受于旁白的控制啊，你知道吗？从头到尾，我们如同被那个精神控制设施控制一样。旁白叫我们做什么，我们就做什么。这也就是我们第一届学到的事情。这真的是幸福吗？对，那我们现在好像是已经破了一个第一个结局，就是一直照他的讲法去做事了。那我们现在的话，